Well, hello there. Fancy meeting you here. This is Frantz Kantor, cartoonist, illustrator, and toon talker. And I'm at the Australian Cartoon Museum, and who am I here with?
Jim Bridges, and I'm one of the people who set up the Cartoon Museum in Melbourne. And Frantz forgot to say he's a sometime caricaturist.
Well, we're doing caricatures. I have a different take on caricatures.
He does.
I'm not really known as a caricature. Well, I kind of sort of am, but I'm more of an illustrator. So, here we go. We're going to look at...
We'll try and forgive him that. We'll try. So, which one are you drawing today?
I'm actually drawing...
Which one? That one or that one?
Jacinda, who is...
With a D.
The PM. It's a beautiful picture with sticky out ears.
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very dynamic. Very...
The Prime Minister of New Zealand.
The Prime Minister of New Zealand. Let's go through... This is her
pretty.
from the Labor Party.
Oh, pretty.
She's the...
pretty.
It's a Labor Party pick. It's kind of nice, isn't it? How they sort of turned it into a Hollywood thing.
Yeah, well,
she is very pretty. She's got big teeth, but...
all the more to grind you with, my dear.
Yeah, well, they're very distinctive. A lot of people do that, you know. She's actually got a very interesting face. So, you know, there's a lot of interesting angles and expressions
she's crammed
that
a lot
you can
into her short
play
life.
with. You can see that's because she's in politics, right? She's very accomplished at public speaking.
Yeah.
And the lines around her face and all the muscles are sort of, you know, created for that purpose. They're sort of really well exercised.
You're talking about the talking muscles.
The talking muscles, yeah.
Oh.
So she's quite expressive. Look at the lines on her face.
Pretty
There's a
grim
lot of,
there.
Yes, but we're going to find some interesting aspects to her face. She's even with all of this worry and you know these expressions that she makes. I love her expressions. They're absolutely gorgeous, but they tell you a story of somebody who is incredibly powerful in her field, very, very adept at, politicking and dealing with people, talking with people. She's a very good. She takes control really well. So in the area of where she is as a prime minister, as a leader of a nation, she's sort of standalone and very much a power to be reckoned with, I think.
I think a lot of people in the last 2 years have wanted to shift to New Zealand because of her policies, primarily.
Well, because of her
and
policies,
her leadership.
I think she's sort of very symbolic for, you know, powerful women in business who it's not just power hungry like, you know, Margaret Thatcher. It's actually just caring about people, being very, very human and humane. Where Margaret Thatcher was never accused of being, I think, humane in her whole career.
She actually said that society doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's one of her famous, society doesn't exist.
Right. She had her own facts and she stuck to them. So I guess she's got another thing with Jacinda. We're going to explore some of this stuff.
You should show that picture. Should show that picture. No,
I did.
No, you didn't show that one. You didn't show that one.
We're going to look at this one. This is her. Yeah. Looks like it's her time cover, and it's very sort of. It looks very posed, but there's some revealing aspects about her that we're going to try to capture. So let's.
The visionary look.
Yes, well, there is a touch of the Mr. Spock about her, in that she's quite inscrutable and measured in her expressions, and she's very much in tune with the moment. She knows what's happening.
And we're not going to talk about T-zones or light?
We are going to talk about that in a sec. I'm just adjusting some of the angles here because there's a certain element that I want to capture in her expression.
A certain element?
Yeah.
That's not the fifth element, is it?
No, it's a certain je ne sais quoi.
Oh. Jenny who?
Yeah, je ne sais quoi.
That's a great Joni Mitchell.
It is Joni. See, again, you throw me off. Now I have to think about drawing Joni Mitchell. So what are we doing here? We've got a shape that's sort of very elongated, and it's complemented by this beautiful tress of hair, this cascading waterfall of long, beautiful, lustrous hair. She's a very glamorous-looking politician, very glamorous woman, and I think that's probably why she stands out so much. Also, she's not afraid to have these expressions, that are normally not associated with a glamorous.
Because politicians have a limited amount of expressions, don't they? They limit themselves, whereas she is, getting back to that word, humane again.
Well, she's not afraid to look non-glamorous, which is fantastic, because that's what you want. You want somebody who's real, right? Anyway, the light source is coming down roughly from the left. It's a little bit diffused. From the top left. So you're going to get favoured a shaded area on the bottom right of the
must be a
form.
Labor Party photograph coming from the left.
The other thing is to remember that we're doing a caricature, so you're going to be focused on the features in this sort of mask area, this T-zone, T-shape, which is the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So that's where the recognition factor is going to be focused on. That's where you're going to concentrate a lot of details. Okay, so I've been playing around with different shapes and things, and I've kind of opted for something that's based on this. I've decided to use this one rather than this one, although this photograph is very expressive of her personality. You've got that Spock eyebrow that's coming up imperceptibly over on the left-hand side. But you've also got this is her normal expression where she's in mid-sentence, so she's talking. She's a great talker. She's a great orator. She knows how to present herself and her thoughts. Her thoughts are not conflicted. There is a lot of variety in her thoughts, a lot of backwards and forwards. So you can tell from this pattern of lines that go like this, right? So they break and they continue on. So they've actually changed somewhat. They've changed direction. So you can see a lot of conflicts happening in her thoughts. Her eyes are very clear. Her stare and all of the lines around her eyes. There's very little line work, very little wrinkles around her eyes at all. So she's very, very clear in her perspective, in her views, I think. Once she settles on them, there is a little bit of conflict in there, but once she settles on them, I think she's quite focused. So let's have a look and see what we can capture with this caricature. And sharpen up and get into the toned pencil. So we're using toned paper. This is a Strathmore. This is actually a book on grey toned paper. Depending on the lighting, you're probably seeing it in a sort of a brownish tone. But it's the ability to create a tonal drawing. It helps with the presentation or the creation of form. You need a three-dimensional form. Why'd you do that?
Oh, because I thought you were going to pull them all out like you do sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I do.
Sometimes.
So, we're going to... I'm propping this up, actually. I haven't lost my main prop.
Why did you... I'll sit this up for you.
No, it's fine. Don't talk over there because no one can hear you. It's fine. I've got enough room over there, as long as I don't get too many pencil shavings on my iPad reference. So she's got a very strong nose, very strong features. This is, a caricaturist or a portrait artist dream even, to have this sort of definite features, so nothing is sort of presented in half measures. It's all full formed structures of folds and muscles and sinews, and it's quite exciting to draw. She's got a beautiful face to draw. So that doesn't mean that she's, I'm not making her ugly. I'm just sort of accentuating the possibilities that I find in her face, which is, she's very beautiful, but she's very, very strong as well, which is a fantastic combination, I think, for a Prime Minister, certainly a female Prime Minister, that sort of stands out and is memorable. And at the same time, you get floored by her logic and her mind, which is very, very sharp.
Well, she seems to be making all the right moves as far as being a strong
leader,
personable leader.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And a lot of, as I was saying before,
she cops a lot of controversy from, she's left of the spectrum. She's a Labor Party.
That's true, and the right-wing press always get the worst photographs of her. They make her look gawky and,
Yeah.
Her eyes are
Silly.
half shut and, jaws over here and teeth are over there and all that stuff.
Yeah. So she's copped a lot of flack, but she's, able to stay afloat, stay above that
It's interesting about leaders because whenever a child is born into the royal family, it's a real big deal. And they go out and they hold the baby up. And thousands of people go there because it's almost like it's a sign, it's birth, it's a sign for the future, The future's going to be good.
Old Father Time making way for the baby.
Yeah, but I mean, in her particular case, she's the second woman...
Prime Minister
I think there was a Prime Minister of India who was pregnant while she was Prime Minister. So she had a child, she's the second...
Yeah.
Jacinda is the second person to have a child while she's the leader of a country.
That would be significant to you as a Catholic.
No.
Wouldn't it?
Who
else is pregnant and was a
That's not the story I'm trying to talk. I'm trying
okay.
A universal thing. So
you're saying that her son will be the...
No, even the ancient
God.
Egyptians and stuff like that, when they had when the king and that had a child, they'd hold the child up and...
Spank it.
No, this is the future.
It's the future.
And it became like the symbolic child of everybody, you know what I mean?
Right.
So when she was pregnant, people all over the world knitted her booties and layouts for the baby.
Right.
And they got hundreds of these suits knitted because they all wanted to help her with her child, you know what I mean?
Right.
And there's this this goes back to very early
prehistory.
Yeah, all leaders.
Cavemen time.
Yeah.
And they used to...
Well, I don't know about cavemen, but,
get a
especially to the Egyptians.
Blanket for the newborn.
Will you calm down? I'm trying to say something serious here, for once.
Well, how far back in tradition do you want to go in our past?
What I'm trying to say is that the birth of a child from a king or a queen or a leader is a big deal to the whole country. It's almost like it's a sign that things are going to be all right in the future, you know?
Fantastic, yeah.
The harvests are going to be plentiful and,
Right, so she's the harvest queen. She's the queen of the harvest. She's Ceres
Hang on.
embodied...
Now who's getting religious? Queen of the harvest.
Ceres. Ceres is not religion, it's Greek mythology.
No, you called her Queen of the Harvest.
Yeah, Queen of the Harvest.
Well...
The Harvest Moon.
Shine on Harvest
Moon. Beautiful features.
Anyway, so she got all these things knitted for her and presents. She got hundreds and hundreds of baby presents. And she didn't take that much time off from, from the big job. But the fact that she's a woman having a child, like, when we had Julia Gillard as Prime Minister, the fact that she didn't have a child was used against her. The fact that she wasn't married was used against her.
Right.
The fact that she didn't cook was used against her. Right. All these things was used against her, and she sort of... this woman is, seen to be, more of a leader just because she's had a child and all this sort of stuff. She's fulfilled her function as a woman, whatever the hell that means.
Well, it means that we're absolutely sexist in our
That's exactly what it means.
ideas of what womanhood is and You know, what is the place of a woman in politics, in business? To be able to have to wait until you've had a child and be fulfilled as a mother, perhaps, is a controversial
No, but I'm just saying
thing.
that helped her. That helped her.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, a lot of things have helped her. I mean, let's get into her life, right? She's born in 1980, and she's the 40th Prime Minister of New Zealand.
Wow.
She was... she's born a Mormon, born into a Mormon family.
Right.
And she got out of it when she was about 17 because...
It's silly.
The Mormons were against gays and
and they
all sorts of things. So
also got featured heavily by the South Park people.
Yeah, and
So
of course,
became like
when you're a leader of a country, they want to know, you know, do you believe in God and all that stuff. But she said she's an agnostic.
So is that a controversial stand, to be agnostic?
No, I think it's
a safe stand.
I think it's
safety.
I think it's a sense fitter. You know what a sense fitter is?
Fence sitter.
Yeah, sense fitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
They sit on the fence.
Yeah.
They have their mugwumps. They have their mug on one side and their wump on the other.
Right.
That's a dad joke that my dad told me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For a moment,
so
I thought, hang on,
there's
mugwumps. Harry Potter. We're talking Harry Potter here.
We're not. So she left the church in, I think, 2005. And have a guess what she's got in common with Pauline Hanson. Have a guess. Have a guess.
Red hair? Scottish ancestry?
No, she worked in a fish and chip shop. Yep, after school...
But in New Zealand, is that not fish and chops?
Fish and chips.
Fish and chops.
Fish and chops.
Fish
You're
and
not
chops.
hanging
there we go.
certain nitrogenous material on our... Look, Tom's here in the room. I mean, he's New Zealand.
Kiwis.
Yeah. Careful.
I think they're used to it by now.
No.
They have worse ones about us.
Oh,
I love
we
hearing
know that.
I love hearing the insults about Aussies.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Do you know where the capital of New Zealand is?
You're not gonna say Bondi.
I was going to say Bondi. That's where the capital of New Zealand is.
Right.
Okay, so
Let's-
when she left school, she became a researcher in the office of Helen Carter, the other female Prime Minister of New Zealand. So she had this role model.
Yeah.
And then she went over to London and worked in the cabinet office of Tony Blair.
Right.
I don't think she ever met him. And while she was over there, she was elected deputy leader of the Labor Party. Oh, I don't know, when's this? Yeah, unopposed. So that happened, I think, 2016 or 17.
Right.
Yes, she's when she got the top job, she was 37 years of age. And at 17 she joined the Labor Party because I think her auntie was helping some guy to run for Parliament, and she helped her auntie out, who was helping out this bloke, and then that's when she joined the Labor Party. And in 2008 she
Wait, I don't get it. What do you mean? How did she do that?
Well,
It's like making scones, and by the way,
No.
these are nice scones. Do you want to be leader of the Labor Party? Is that how it happens? Is that how
probably
politics
in your
works?
mind. Probably in your mind.
Politics works like that. You're not
Probably
called
in your
to,
mind.
like, I have a dream. Like, you're not sort
Hang
of
on,
inspired
scones,
by...
when you think of scones and politics, you think of Joe Bioka Peterson's wife.
Exactly, yes.
But,
And she
you know,
became famous for those.
but they were pumpkin scones. They weren't ordinary scones.
I know, and everybody down south of Queensland went, pumpkin scones, ooh. Yuck.
Well, don't knock them till you try them, mate. That's what I say. And in 2008 she became the president of the International Union of Socialist Youth. And in her job as the president, she checked out Jordan, Israel, Algeria and China. So she's been around the block.
What do you
So
mean
that-
checked out? She went there, studied
Yeah, she went there and, you know,
politics,
represented...
communist,
Socialist
youth.
yeah.
Cool.
And she went to New York and she worked in a soup kitchen.
Wow.
You meet a lot of Labor people in the soup kitchens, that's for sure. And of course, she really came.
Why is that? Do they like soup? I like soup, but I don't necessarily.
Just get back to your drawing, all right?
I'm not a socialist. Do you have to be a socialist to like soup?
Yeah.
We're getting second opinions.
I'm getting
here.
scared now.
Getting third opinions.
Yep.
Why?
Fourth opinions.
So we're not here. We're not
Loop the loop.
working in complete
loop.
isolation here. We're all practicing.
People eat soup.
Anyway,
Poor people.
oi,
Yeah.
we're filming a show here. Just keep it quiet over there, will you? Yep. So she sort of really came to international fame over the mosque shootings, and she, everything she did, she didn't, put a foot wrong. She just did everything that was possible to
make people feel better and
but
feel
also
at ease and
to
be
support
inclusive.
them and
which is probably the opposite of what's happening now in America.
Yes, that's right.
So
and
it's
that's what I was
terrible.
saying before. A lot of people are thinking of going to New Zealand because of her and her leadership qualities and her policies.
Well, it's not just the policies; it's the fact that she's inclusive. She's very, very much about people coming together, and you can see that in her face. She cares about people. She cares a lot. This woman is showing in her face these lines and muscles.
She's very strong. Like you've
Very strong.
You've drawn her
She's
with
a great-
You've drawn her with a very strong chin. It's
Yeah,
very
well, she's
firm
got
and-
that sort of.
Yes,
What would you call that? That sort of
a
like
strong
the-
chin.
Well,
I don't know what else to call it. What do you call it?
I think it's something that
Firm.
kids have. When they have it's like a cheekiness to their expression. So I think she's got a good sense of humour.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, she's in charge of a country that
children, when they cry, they
Yeah.
make this expression with their chin.
do they?
Now she's got it as a normal facial expression in repose.
Okay.
So
Where is this leading to?
it's leading to emotion. It's leading to like a well of emotion
It's not leading to a strong.
lying below the surface.
It's not leading to a strong chin, is it?
It's not It is a strong chin. I mean, her jaw juts out.
Yeah.
But her chin actually recedes, and it recedes in this pucker effect. Let's try to simplify this a little bit better. So she has a mouth, like everybody, and then she has this.
What you're seeing now is special because he never does
elbow.
drawings of chins
No.
specifically.
Okay, so
this is a first here.
All right, so her teeth push out from the skull, right? So this area here
Oh,
pushes
g'day,
out.
mate. How are you? It's Oric.
Okay, so this pushes out. Okay, so she's got quite an overbite, which is attractive in her circumstances. So it's not like it's like an element that makes her look weird.
If
It
you
actually is very attractive. But the chin underneath that goes back into position. So the overbite position of the teeth are pushing forward and the chin's going back. But it's also creating this shape here
Yes.
in the center of her chin, the center of her jaw.
Oh, okay.
Which is this is like an elbow.
Because there's
right? This is like
Okay,
an
okay.
elephant's knee. Turkey skin.
elephant's knee.
When kids are, my daughter had it when she was. It represented.
Your daughter
a
had an
cheekiness.
elephant's knee.
Yeah, on her chin. Okay. So and she still gets it as a woman, but it's sort of like it's an element of children have this when they're sulking but not really sulking.
But this has got nothing to do with the lower jawbone.
No, it's a muscle.
Muscle. Okay. Oh, muscle. Okay.
It's
all right.
created by muscles. So
Okay. And as you say, because she's she's strong and firm
Yeah,
in her beliefs.
but she has a
and
sense
clear.
of humor. There's a very clear thoughts.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot, the lines on her face, there's very few lines on her face, but they're very clear.
Plus
so
the
lines
photographer-
around her mouth are to do with talking. All of the muscles are there formed for like really clear, direct. She knows what she's saying. There's not many doubts in her mind. There's conflicts and things that trouble her, but there's not many. She never doubts her own ability, I think.
Plus the photographer told her to shove her chin out, right?
Possibly, but she's definitely got a sense of humour. Like she's not afraid of taking a contrary stand.
Yes, she's.
So there's a certain stubbornness in this as well.
Bingo, a stubborn word.
Yeah. So that
but
represents
stubborn in a good
children.
way.
If you were to
Because
cartoon a stubborn child, you'd include that little elephant knee.
You would.
That little
now
elbow.
you're talking.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
Well, that's what I'm seeing.
But why do they call it an elephant's knee?
I don't know. I'm calling it an elephant's knee.
Oh, okay.
Because look, it's like if you were to cartoon this, you'd have that elbow. If you were to do an elbow, right? You put a little shape like that. If you were to do an elephant's knee, right? You do that.
Yeah, that's right. You do.
So
yeah.
that. There you go. A little dimpling, of the chin.
A little swirly line.
There's not so much dimpling inside the centre, but there's that little knob of her in her chin.
Yes. So, and during that, the moss killings in New Zealand, that's when the world really started to hear about her.
Yeah.
And very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah.
And that was, 2017, was it? The moss shootings? 2018, around about that time.
Yeah. So she's...
and of course, just after that, I think one of the...
Very strong and compassionate.
Yeah, one of the anchormen of some Tonight Show in America flew over just to interview her.
Wow.
Because, she's impressive, and she's a great role model. A great role model.
For women, yeah.
Yeah, and also...
she should be a role model for politicians, not just women, but all politicians should look at that and say, we should be more like...
Well, she'd be a tough act to
Jacinda.
follow if and when she moves on, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But, she certainly put New Zealand on the map.
Yeah.
For the right reasons. Yes, she's the Prime Minister of a country that produced some of Australia's best cartoonists.
Right.
They all come from New Zealand, a lot of them.
And actors.
And actors, yes.
Yeah.
But of course, as soon as they cross over the Tasman, they become ours, don't they?
Yeah.
So if they're born in New Zealand, they win the Academy Award, they're Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very inventive.
Yeah.
I grew up with the phrase that Australia produces more world-class tennis players and world-class cartoonists per square inch than any other country, but
right.
That was a long time ago because we haven't produced too many good tennis players for a long time. And also a lot of, as I said before, a lot of Australia's famous cartoonists over the years have come from New Zealand, a lot of them. A lot of them, And I think the fact that they come from another culture is important. I think, when you... Like David Lowe, for instance, he was probably, in the last century, the most political of all cartoonists. He was a real political animal. He probably dominated cartooning because he had a long career. And he was born in New Zealand and he came over I think it was first published when he was 12 or something. And he came over to Australia for quite a few years.
I was too.
You were born at an early age?
No, I was published when I was 12.
Oh, okay.
Not in a major magazine.
What, a UFO magazine?
Yeah. No, just that sort of stuff, sci-fi.
So what was the drawing of?
I can't remember.
Oh, come on.
Be an illustration, because I
Of?
would be very interested in illustration. I can't remember. I'd have to go through my things.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's
But
disappointing.
I had a comic strip
We all...
advertising advertisement when I was 14, 13.
Yeah, what was your advertising?
Trailfinders, which was a backpack sort of travel agency in Hunter Street in Sydney.
How'd you get a job like that? They didn't pay you?
They did pay me.
Oh.
Of course they paid me.
Did the tax department get onto you straight away?
No, it wasn't that much.
Yeah. Yes, that's
You're
it.
trying to get me in trouble with the tax department.
Lots of long bits of hair like that. I love the lines.
Yeah, well,
you
pencil.
do hair good, yeah.
Pencil's very good.
That's
for,
right.
Capturing the flow and
That's right.
and gesture of hair. She's very, very beautiful hair. Very
Mighty
long.
pretty.
So let's continue on with all possible dispatch. What else about Jacinta?
Well, what do you like about her? I mean,
Jacinda,
why are you drawing her?
I find, like Julia Gillard, I find strong women. I've already said this. I've grown up with strong
In the shadow,
females in my house.
In the shadow of strong women.
Yeah, my mother, my sister, and my daughters are very strong.
They are.
Very strong women, and I like the fact that you get. I prefer working with women. I think they are more professional.
Yes, I agree with you. I've worked 30 years with women.
Yeah, and they tend not to.
They're stronger. They're more compassionate. They see things before things happen.
Yeah, they're easy to talk to. You can't. A lot of men you can't talk to because there's either a watch, like a clock on the conversation.
Yeah.
Or
you're barracked for Collingwood.
Well, I've never had that experience, but it's just a different. They're not really competent in dealing with people. Men. I don't think men make good politicians because I don't think they're very competent in that field. I think they're totally incompetent in the field of dealing with people. So I think the best doctors are females, the best nurses are females. They deal with compassion. They're more compassionate. They're more sort of varied in their response. Men have a very measured.
I hate to say this, but I concur. I hate to be on your side for once, but I concur.
Well, yeah. So
the best doctors I've come across are female, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think there's something about the trusting in somebody that has got the capacity to care and to be more resilient and flexible, rather than men tend not to be very flexible at all. They tend to be very rigid in their responses.
But the trouble is
with
with people like her, she's a minority.
Yeah.
In the political field.
Yeah.
And so, she, like Margaret Thatcher, had to be tougher than any man to get into the job virtually.
Yeah.
Golda Meir, she had to be really tough.
Yeah.
And all those photographs of her, walking around with the chicken soup didn't help. I mean, that helped a bit, but she was tough, very tough,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough world. That women working in a predominantly male world, and these are male, careers. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Politics is a male-dominated area. For a woman to be to work in that area, she either has to be very tough or very smart. And I think.
Well, when she went for the leadership of the Labor Party, she was unopposed.
Yeah.
So she's had a bit of luck. But I mean, once you're in the job, that's what it's all about. How
performance.
You actually
your performance base more than any other.
She's kicked, Tijuana Brass in a job, hasn't she?
Yeah, but we I think maybe we look to our politicians. Do you think we look to our politicians for maybe as exemplars too much? Maybe.
I think the days of great leadership in politics are gone because I mean, so many things have changed. They used to say a week was a long time in politics, and now it's an hour, you know, because everybody's connected up.
An hour is a long time in politics.
That is, that's right. The pressure you get, you know, with a tweet or whatever, you know. We're all connected. I mean, but getting back to women, I mean, it'd be better if there was more balance, that's for sure. If there are much more women in the seats of power, we'd probably have less wars. Although Margaret Thatcher, you know...
Well, yeah, I was about to say that.
She started the Falklands War, you know.
Yeah.
She was going down the gurgler and she decided,
let's start a war.
Let's start a war.
Yeah, so wars are they're theatre. They're a distraction from the issues. So whenever there's a war, apart from the Second World War, of course, whenever there's a war, it's surely an area of it's theatre to distract you from what's really going on.
Well, mostly bad things are going on.
Always bad things going on. Now there's more chance, because of Twitter and other things, there's more chance of us finding out.
Yeah.
Much to the distress of crooked politicians.
You're going to give her a white background?
Probably, yeah, to make her hair stand out more. Yeah. Did I have a white pencil somewhere? There it is. Come here. Don't be shy.
The hair looks great. You've done a good job there.
Yeah, so she's got a very... these are... Oh, gosh. I'll have to do something about this problem with the white pencil. Get a different brand. This is just too soft. Keeps breaking.
It's not because you've got a heavy hand. It's just
It could be. I don't know. So, with expressions, like I'm basing this on another photograph, this left eyebrow up, which is sort of like the Spock effect, right? So it's
the Spock effect.
Yeah, it denotes.
Is that in any book?
Concentration
the Spock effect?
and intelligence.
Is that you coming up with another one?
Yeah, the Spock effect.
The Spock effect. Okay.
We all look at Mr. Spock, you know, with his
eyebrow.
Are you
talking about Dr. Spock?
One eyebrow.
Are you talking about Dr. Spock here, or?
No, I'm talking about Mr. Spock.
Oh, Mr. Spock.
The only Spock that matters.
The only Spock that matters. Okay.
Live well.
I must admit, I just kept
Spock.
my eyes on his ears. I never looked at his eyebrows. What would you call him? Imperceptible.
Did I?
We're talking about his eyebrows. It's imperceptible. Subtly imperceptible. It raised his eyebrow.
Yeah. It's a sign of intelligence. And inscrutable. And you can't read his... You know, he's hiding his thoughts. He's sort of looking down his nose at you like you're an insect.
It's like he's a walking...
How dare you humans are so weird.
It's like he's a walking encyclopedia.
Yeah.
And the part on emotions has been ripped out.
Well, whenever Kirk is like want for a cause or a solution or something, you turn to Mr. What do you think, Spock? You know, and then Spock would either have the idea, or he would just, if Kirk made the right assumption, he'd agree with him. But more often than not, you know,
it does not compute.
It showed that everybody, like when you're a kid watching Star Trek, you know who should be captain.
Really?
It ain't Kirk. It's not Kirk. It's Mr. Spock.
Should have been.
For God's sake, get Mr. Spock to sit in the captain's chair, or we're all going to be
Hang on,
in
they must have
dire
had
trouble.
a few episodes where Shatner got sick and...
Yeah, he did. He could put Mr. Spock in charge of the Enterprise, and was always, you know, it was a better experience. So, like the Enterprise, we're going to segue back here. So New Zealand is like the Enterprise, and it's got she's Mr. Spock, so she's in charge.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that a nice segue? Isn't that?
Well, in a way.
So she's Mr. Spock.
Is she? Yeah.
So Mr. Spock's in charge, she could look. You could put pointy ears on her, no problem. She kind of looks like a Vulcan. She has that regal.
I wonder what
that
like
royal quality.
Because when you're the
her.
Prime Minister, you're only there for a short time because of the law. You can't stay there forever. So I wonder what, with her experience, she's going to probably go on and run the UN or something, get the UN job or something, you know.
Where else? Where can you go from there?
Up.
So yeah, that would be good. She'd get a gig running the United Nations. Be interesting.
Yeah.
There's also some.
She's had a lot of experience with the
troubles.
international stuff already, you know, for a woman her age.
Yeah, she's a lot.
And
There's
she
some
just
slight
hasn't.
lines coming in here.
She didn't really just because politics is a pretty dirty field.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what
flavour you are.
flavour you are. Correct, you know.
Yeah, you could be.
They don't have flavour of the month in politics, do they?
Well, they had. You know, it's like the
Back to drawing.
it's like the you know those sweets you get in Harry Potter, you know, with some earwax and all these sort of flavours.
Have you actually?
We had the
have you
flavour of the
actually read-
month
have
for
you
the
actually
for our
read-
politics. Tony Abbott was definitely earwax. That was an earwax flavoured politician.
Yeah.
I think everybody agrees with that. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's
My
that's
grandchildren
earwax.
went and bought a bag of red budgie smugglers.
Yeah,
You know, they're soft, but they've got hard centres.
yeah, but you know, you look for things, don't you? As a cartoonist, you look for things to handle as a handle on the person, and usually in a comic form. So it's like a funny aspect of their personality.
Yeah.
So he was drawn always in bathers.
But you can't say that about her. They can't get a handle on it. She's just. I mean, I've seen her drawn as the Virgin Mary and all sorts of stuff, but nothing sticks. Nothing sticks to her because she's got the dignity that rises above.
She has
all
got
those.
dignity. Yeah, there is a lot of dignity in her appearance. It's sort of exemplified by.
And you get the
her
impression
lines on
that
her
if she
face.
doesn't know something, she'll say, "I don't know." And politicians never say that, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know at this stage. You imagine she's got this honesty about her. That's what you like about her.
yeah. You would hope that every sentence that came out of Donald Trump's mouth was "I don't know." You would hope that. No, nothing like that at all. It's that, you know, he's an expert on anything. Let's all drink Drano. That'll get rid of the problem. Well, why don't you go first, Mr. President, if you think it's such a good idea?
Are you abusing your power as a person on Facebook and YouTube? You're supposed to be drawing, not talking about politics.
Yeah. You know, people.
Have you drawn Trump?
cartoonists
Have you
love-
drawn Trump?
I have, but I'm going to draw him again. I think.
You're going to give him
do
that.
again.
You're going to bring in an orange pencil. I don't think you've got
No,
one.
I don't. You don't need to draw.
We'll maybe get orange
Paper.
Paper, yeah. That'd be the shot.
What did I want? I want something else here. So get some sharp. Actually, let's try to get some dark lines, some stronger lines.
She doesn't seem to have any bags under her eyes at all.
No, she doesn't. Very youthful face, but
Obviously, sleeps the sleep of the innocent.
well, yeah, but she's got troubles. You could see these lines in her forehead.
Yeah.
Tiny, you know,
Well,
there's
it's got a lot of
furrows, not
a lot
wrinkles.
of responsibility on her shoulders.
Yeah.
You know.
Look, it's not, you know, I mean, somebody who's in politics has, to a certain extent, has a thick skin, but there's an extent, you know. I mean, even Trump, the more criticism he takes, the heavier that burden is.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Well, they
sticks
all
and
age in the
stones-
job, don't they? And the newspapers especially, they always love putting the before and after photos in of prime ministers and presidents and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
They come into the job with sort of partially grey hair and they go out completely grey, you know.
Yeah.
It is a lot of responsibility. I mean, we're all, you know,
we'll
it's a huge responsibility. I mean, these guys don't have their life anymore. It's just a...
No, it's public.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big burden. It's very...
It's like the burden of a caricaturist who has to get the picture right, you know. You can't miss the look.
Yeah. The look. I'm getting a wind up here.
You nailed it. You've nailed it. You've nailed it.
Hurry up, hurry up. It's like Blackboard in Mr. Squiggle.
Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up.
So,
was that Blackboard or the Rocket who said that? No,
that
the Rocket
Blackboard.
didn't talk. Hurry
the
up.
Rocket didn't talk. It just jumped.
So, talking about Mr. Squiggle, were you a Miss Pat man or
yeah.
were you a bit older or younger?
Was there a younger Miss Pat?
Well, no, there were a couple of Pats.
Oh, were there?
But they weren't called Pat, they were called something else. I think one of them was with his daughter.
Right.
Yeah. We're talking about Mr. Squiggle here, folks.
Yeah.
And
Norman Hetherington.
Yeah. Mr. Squiggle was a puppeteer who...
The man from the moon.
Who, he would get kids to send in squiggles.
Yep.
And then he would draw pictures out of those squiggles with his nose as a marionette.
Right.
So he's a puppet with a marionette with a pencil for a nose.
Right.
And Blackboard was a character that he put the boards of what he was drawing on.
Yeah.
Hurry up, hurry up. Oh, Miss Pat, I have to hurry up. We should do him.
Yeah.
I'm putting together
I've drawn
cartoons of his work, which most people have never seen.
Right.
So we'll do a feature on him pretty soon. So maybe we can synchronise the drawing of Norman Hetherington.
Yeah.
With that film, so they come out together.
Yeah. There's something about her face that's just hypnotic. It's very...
yes, it's
strong and attractive.
Well...
It's very interesting combination.
I was looking at her eyes and I was thinking, oh, she's sort of gazing off into space, but when you connect the eyes to the mouth and the chin, it's very strong. It's very...
Yeah. So, how far are we getting? I think I'm going to put in the background. Let's have a look at that. So, I wonder if we should do a black background. Let's try a black background, just for the hell of it.
An all black background?
Yeah. So we'll cut in around, get close to the line work and not obliterate it, and hopefully it'll keep its shape in contrast. Be careful how I climb up to the top. What are you doing with that?
Well, so you can...
Oh. I'm going to try and...
No, if you're going to do the corner, you don't want to...
Yeah, I might do that. Let's do this. Come here. Okay. So this is a black Posca. Posca is an acrylic paint with a little ball bearing in the tube, and you shake it and it mixes the paint up. The beauty about the Poscas are that they dry flat.
So it looks like a texter.
It is,
but,
yeah, it's like a texter.
But
it doesn't go through paper.
Yeah, but textures didn't have that type of paint in it?
No, they didn't have that type of paint. So it's a sort of it's got something in it. You can smell it, like an alcohol
Yeah, well, so did the early textures did. They were very
quite
strong.
Quick. Yeah.
The trouble is with textures, they go through everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Poscas tend not to do that. They're very
And not only the page,
opaque.
the other side of the page, but they go through into the next page and
Yeah.
halfway through that one as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you use them strongly, you know.
Yeah. So you keep going over the build up the pigment, and
Yeah.
of course it
pushes
right through the paper and gives you a very
Mind you,
undesirable effect.
When textures first came out, they were pretty revolutionary. They came out in the late 50s, early 60s, and they were pretty revolutionary.
Yeah. We had a lot of, in school we had a lot of art materials that were very effective. Textures
I
were
think
one,
before
and,
that we only had,
we had these
before
crayons.
textures we only had poster colours, really.
Poster colours.
Yeah, just they come in small jars. They call it poster colours.
Right. I don't remember. I can't remember them.
Little jars.
School acrylic or something.
No, I don't know what they were made of. I was too young.
Is that like the day glow colours, poster colours? That's what I remember.
Well,
like the
no,
fluorescent colours?
That all came in the 60s. That came with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, that did.
Did it?
Yeah.
The song or the acronym?
Yeah, the acronym,
Right.
LSD.
I was too young for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We had...
Well, you had some pretty impressive artwork for a couple of years.
We had great wax, not wax, oil-based crayons.
Yeah.
Can't remember what they were called
in
now.
primary schools everybody had crayons.
Yeah, but
They didn't
we
have-
had surprisingly good materials. Unlike today, where you have a lot of...
But you see,
junk.
all the writing was done with ink, with nibs, in my day.
Yeah, that was phasing out in my day,
Yeah.
but we had that penmanship
And
exercise.
the first biros came in, and then they had.
And anyone with pigtails is fair game. They just, if you're sitting back, you get you dip their pigtails in the ink bottle or the ink well.
We used to have ink drinking contests. See who was the toughest kid.
Ink drinking,
Yeah.
right?
And some kid who seemed to win everything, he stuck his tongue out, and he only had a circular bit of black on his tongue, so he actually stuck his tongue through the hole to stop it going down. Looked like he was drinking it.
Oh my god!
And we all made him stick his tongue out, because when you drank ink, you had a black tongue.
Yes, like ice blocks or
Do you-
licorice.
Do you want to fill that bit in, or you don't?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, do you want to do a before and after?
Yeah, we'll do it before and after. So I quite like this. This is very, been very intriguing for me. Very interesting.
Interesting.
She's got a lovely face. Very. What? I can't put the other earring.
No, but
in
I'm
there
just
because
looking
it's
at the
paramount.
chin. Looking at the chin. You've got the
that
chin.
little-
You've got the chin.
Elbow. Let's get an elbow in her face. All right.
Yeah.
So this is Jacinda Ardern, very, very influential person of the 21st century, and this is
I don't know.
caricature of Jacinda.
I don't know if she'd approve of what we've talked about it, but she'd definitely approve of the picture.
Yeah, I think it's very strong and
She might give
interesting.
you a job as a hairdresser. You've done a good job there.
Well, I've combed it.
You have.
I have to give
With
it
the
a bit.
pencil. Mm-hmm. The pencil comb.
All right, so this is Frantz Kantor and
Jim Bridges.
saying
We'll
catch
see you on
the flip side. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Jacinda.